Hey, welcome back to the show. You're behind the internet, and I'm Aaron, one of the hosts today. I work for Whisper Internet, and I'm one of our outside sales agents.
Hi, I'm Susie. If you follow our Whisper University page, you have probably seen me before. I usually host our speaker series over there, but I am co-hosting. Jesse's out today, so I'll be co-hosting Behind the Internet today.
Today, we're actually talking about organizational apps. This is actually one of my favorite things, believe it or not. Those that know me well, I go through like a really big period of being super organized with all my apps and everything going on. And then it's like, okay, time to find a new app or something going on. So I'm really intrigued about this. So Jessica, I hear you're a big fan of organizational apps as well.
I am, and I'm sort of the opposite. I find something that I like, and then I'm fiercely loyal. And I find when I try to implement new ones, it just doesn't stack up against the two that I use solidly. So I'm excited. Maybe I'll learn something from you today that changes my mind.
All right. Well, so we did a little bit of research, and we found a few organizational apps that we thought that were particularly useful. And of course, Susie's going to help me out with some of these. We got Calendar. Let me try that again. Calendarly, Camcard, and LastPass. And Calendarly is a app that is great for organizing appointments. Camcard uses it basically captures a business card that's given to you, so you can kind of keep those instead of looking through that huge stack of business cards next to your desk. And LastPass is a good one to keep all your passwords in one place. So,
got a few more. There's also Evernote, so it's a little bit like sticky notes. You can make notes to yourself. You can also scan in receipts and business cards if you don't want to lose those, which I probably need. It's one called Todoist, like to-do list, which can set alarms for you, but also if you have this one seemed like a good college one to me. If you've got due dates or projects or something, you can put those in there and turn them into notifications. And then Active Inbox is another one, which obviously would go with your email, tracks your emails and makes you, gives you the opportunity to turn things into little action boxes. So if you have a meeting coming up, you can make a note to make a meeting. So I probably also need that one. But Jessica, you and I talked a little bit. You had some that you said you liked. So are there some that you particularly enjoy?
So Evernote, what I love about Evernote is that it seems like it combines several elements of each of those. And because I'm a minimalist by nature, the home screen on my phone is very clean. I don't like having access to too many apps, but the Evernote, I like how easy it is to use. So the things I use it most for are storing recipes. So you can very easily send a link if you're on your phone or you're in a browser, you can just send it to Evernote. Recipes, and then it's basically my online brain. And so when somebody first introduced me to it, they said, oh, you can literally put anything in Evernote, literally anything. And that to me was very overwhelming. I didn't quite understand like what you meant by anything. But then the more I started using it, I literally keep everything there. So things that I will document in Evernote are things like the types of bags that my vacuum cleaner uses. So, you get out to the store or light bulbs for a certain part of your house, things that you're like, oh, I don't remember, or the ink that you use in your printer. These are all things that I've taken pictures of and I store in Evernote. And so anytime I know something, but I can't remember it, I literally just open my Evernote and type in like light bulbs for the basement because they use a certain type of light bulb. But I also store receipts for large purchases. So if we buy like a new computer or a large television, anything with a warranty, I'll just take a picture of that receipt and it'll scan it and save it either as a photo or a document, which I also assume would be helpful if we had any like a fire and we had damage and you have to prove that you own some large items. I have all of our receipts kept in Evernote. But it is so easy to put new data in Evernote. So like I said, you can send a link there. I also try to keep my inbox minimized. And when you sign up for Evernote, you get like a personalized email address to Evernote. So I can take an email someone sends me like with their itinerary. And instead of keeping it in my email, I will send it to my Evernote email, which stores it in a file in Evernote. So now it's out of my inbox, but I still have access to it if I need to use it. So I can take screenshots of things and easily send those to Evernote. So now that I'm probably 10 years into using Evernote, I finally understand what the person meant when they said, oh, you can use Evernote for anything. Like, it is always there. And I like having it in one place, because then when I'm looking for something, I don't have to remember, was that in a text message they sent me or an email? Was it my work email, my personal? Anything I need to save or think I remember, I just send it to Evernote, and then I can easily search for it, and hopefully it's there.
Yes, because the faster you can find something, I mean, it definitely helps any system you have out there for sure. Because I'm a little bit of the same way on that. Is usually searching my Outlook email. It like, okay, I'm one of those, I archive so many, but then I'm also like avid as far as always searching in my Outlook. So in I've used Evernote in the past and really enjoyed it. And especially when I had a Android phone at the time, Evernote was one. I mean, I used it all the time. In fact, I still have that account just for some of those old notes like that. And it has always been really great, especially with pictures and meetings and notes. It's always been very great. And I mean, is there any others that really stick out to you that, I mean, you would definitely recommend? I know you mentioned Evernote.
So outside of Evernote, the only other app that organization-wise, that I open every day is called Calendars 5, and calendars is plural. And what I love about that is, so I'm an Apple person, and so I use my to-do list and my reminders through the native Apple, the reminders app that comes with Apple. So I'll tell Siri to remind me to do something. But then separately from that is my calendar for the day. And what I was looking for was, I needed everything in one view. I needed to see like what my appointments for the day were, but also what my to-do list items were, which don't have a time associated with them. You know what I mean? Like, I just had to remember to do this one thing. And so Calendars 5 streams all of that into the same screen. So now I have my calendar up here, and immediately under that, whether my to-do list is from 2 different apps or my reminders, it can pull it all together. So I have a really good snapshot of what I need to do today, where I need to be, and then what tasks I plan on doing. And
you call that Calendar 5?
It's Calendars, plural. Yeah, Calendars 5. That's the name of the app.
I'm interested. Okay.
It has been a lifesaver.
Yeah, our last show, when we talked about Apple Watches, I've used that so many times as far as like just setting that. So, I mean, that was a huge takeaway even from last show. So maybe this is my takeaway from this show. So that's awesome. So
I just like that you can have different lists and different things, but again, it's all how easily can you find it. So if I have to open 2 different apps to see, like, what's on the docket for today, where I just open Calendars 5 and bam, it's all there. Jessica, here's your day. Get going.
That's awesome. And I know me personally, I started using another app called AnyDo. It's any.do. And it kind of did the same thing. It actually pulled my calendar, and it pulled all of my reminders, because at the time I was probably using 3 different to-do lists. And so really it wasn't productive going back and forth between 3 different apps. Even the Apple app, it really wasn't too productive. The reminders didn't always go off as well. And so with AnyDo, it even starts my day off for me. And I go through and literally pick, okay, am I doing this today? Am I doing it at 10, 12, or 7? Or am I doing it 2 days from now? And it literally will, I mean, my watch goes off like usually at 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and 7 o'clock, which usually 3 different things. And I always say, okay, what's my top 5 for that time frame? And it kind of really helps me kind of keep going. And I've enjoyed that app as well. So I don't know if you've heard about that one or.
I have not, but I just wrote it down because, like I said, I am a learner, so I'll look into a lot of things. And I'm just glad I didn't give up on Evernote, because I was real close and giving up on that. And then once I started, so this AnyDo might be pretty similar, it sounds like.
Yeah, and it seemed like my replacement for Evernote, not that we're talking about replacements or anything, but my personal replacement was probably when I went to an iPhone, is using the notes section of the iPhone app. And I use that a lot. And especially with my iPad, I'm able to use my pencil and I keep all of my notes there. So it's easy to like, hey, if I want to write something down or highlight something, then it's literally I've got the pencil for my iPad and just start writing. So,
Yeah.
Susie, is there any that really stick out to you, and what's your favorite?
Y'all are way ahead of me. I have never used any like secondary apps. I have, even though I have an iPhone, I tend to use my Google for a lot of things because I have everything is in my Gmail. And you can set appointments that way. Like if somebody, sends you something on your email, you can click it and make it into an appointment. But I'll scan things into my Google Drive, but I'm like Evernote would be a lot easier than doing that. The other day we went to IKEA. We had measurements for our kitchen counters, right? And I had written them down somewhere and I couldn't find it. And I feel like that is the perfect application for that app. So maybe I should have already been.
I will admit, I've actually done that. I've taken measurements, and actually what I do is I take a picture of the measurements that I wrote down, but then instead of leaving that just in my camera roll from photos, you can send it straight to Evernote. So then when anywhere I go, like I will just pull up Evernote and hopefully it's in there. But I've done just that.
That's exactly what I needed. I should have had it 2 weeks ago, but as soon as we're done here, I'm going to put it on my phone and play with it because I think I would use that.
And you mentioned a good point, just taking pictures of just your phone. It seems like I do that a lot, especially for work. If there's something going on, I usually take a picture of it. And it's kind of a nice little, but it fills up my phone as far as all the pictures. And then it's like I'm scrolling through my phone looking for that one picture. Yep. I'm like, okay, not that one, not that one. What day did I take that? Okay, what day? And it's kind of nice, even like, every note, being able to put that in and be like, oh yeah, that was about this subject, and I'm able to find it, and boom, there's a picture, everything. So that is pretty cool, actually.
Something neat about Evernote that business customers might be interested in is it has, and I know a lot of apps do, but they've got the business card capture. So if I'm at a networking event and someone hands me their business card, I'll take a picture of it in Evernote, and it recognizes it as a business card, and it will pull that person's information into a contact card for me. And then the cool thing is it asks me, do you want to share your contact information with this person? So if I say yes, then they get a text message with my contact card, which then they can just save into their native contacts on their phone. So instead of us having to change a bunch of business cards, I can just say, oh, I'll send you my info, and then it'll send them the info that I've pre-populated in Evernote. I think that that's very cool. And then I can actually hand their business card back to them. And I'll say, let me save you some money. Take this business card back because I actually have a snapshot. And then let's say that person is a roofer. If I'm at an event or a friend texts me and says, hey, do you have any roofers? I can literally send them a picture of the business card and that person's contact information straight out of Evernote. So I've done that frequently.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I didn't know that because I end up collecting a lot of business cards or handing out a lot of business cards. And I always try to go back later and follow up with those people that I've gotten business cards from. But to be able to do that instantly, I mean, that's just so much time saved a lot of times. And it's like one less email or something throughout the day.
Correct.
And that, it's not in that email list. Oh, I forgot to do that. Or it hits you later on. It's like, man, I didn't do that after that event. So
the other thing I have found is when you do that on the spot at a networking event, that leaves such a great impression with the person that you're talking to, because their immediate impression of you is like, wow, this person's organized, they understand things. And so the next time they think about, let's say, that roofer, they're going to say, oh, well, I might go with Jessica because I remember she showed me that really neat thing and maybe you spent 5 minutes talking about it. That happens frequently where I capture the business card and then the person's like, well, how did you do that? What does that look like? And then I just feel like it leaves a very good first impression outside of maybe what my actual business is. They get some insight to me as a person, and that's usually what makes business connections.
That's, yeah, because if they see you do that super fast, they're thinking, oh, hey, I need to get a hold of that guy. So
correct, yeah.
It keeps him on the fresh of your mind. Yeah, we can talk business talk all day long, I bet.
Right.
So, yeah, and I got to do a shout out. I mean, is there anybody watching? Do they have anything that they want to throw out there that's been super useful for them that they currently use now? And even if you have a question about some of the apps that we've talked about today, and I know I'm going to check out the app you mentioned, Jessica, the Calendars 5, and I think that's already sounded pretty cool, especially because my meetings really, I mean, my day fills up with meetings. And so, which is some good, some bad, because as a salesperson, white space on a calendar is bad, but you don't want it all the same meetings of the same, and, it kind of keeps you organized at least to know when you can have a meeting and when you can't. So that's pretty good.
Sure.
So,
just out of curiosity, do you know if most of these apps are, so is Evernote a free app? Do you pay? Is there a subscription?
So most of the features in Evernote are free. A couple years ago, they came out with a paid version, and what the paid version gives you access to is you can use multiple devices. So with the free version, I think you can store the app on up to 3 devices, and for most people, that's probably sufficient. But then I think the business card ability is probably also a feature of the paid app. But I think it's like $70 a year. And for someone like me who I use it so frequently, that's really worth it. But the paid version is probably, I went probably 7 years using the free version, and it worked out just fine. I just needed more access, and I wanted to be able to use the business card option.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's not too bad, especially if you're paying per month. That's probably a couple dollars. Not terrible. I think a lot of us probably pay more than that for, sillier apps, TV subscriptions and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think my app that I mentioned, AnyDo, I remember it was a paid version. I think it was like $10. The nice advantage to it is I can actually, if I need to, if I'm at my computer, I can actually go to the site and actually be able to put it in to-dos, organize it right there from my computer instead of my phone. And for me, it's kind of like I have my, my segment where I just, okay, phone is way over here, so it's not as easy, so I can be productive here. And so with AnyDo, I'm able to bring it up on my web page and or in my browser and do whatever I need to do or check off things that I've done or completed. So.
Yep. That's a feature of Evernote too, is that ability to log in. So my husband's family lives in Kentucky. So if we're down there for the holidays and I want a drink recipe that maybe I've stored in Evernote, if I don't have my phone right near me, I can just log into Evernote on the web and literally everything's there. I take pictures of my Christmas decorations, like how I do my mantle, and I store them on Evernote. So then the next year I don't have to recreate the wheel. I just put up my picture of what this looks like, and then I'm ready to go.
That's super cool idea. Yeah. That way you don't have competitions with yourself saying, "Oh, my mantle looked better last year than it does this year." So
exactly.
Yeah.
And it helps motivate me to get it decorated. Like if I have to think about, oh my gosh, I have so much stuff, where does it all go? Like I have a picture of it. I know exactly where it goes. Again, I'm very minimalist. I'm okay with routine.
Yes. Yeah, I understand that very well, actually. Yes. I can relate to that. So, well, Susie, do you have anything else you want to join there for the audience?
So we don't have any comments in yet, so you can still ask. If you have any questions, let us know. We've got a few more minutes here, so maybe not necessarily an app, but have you ever used like a website planner, so something like Trello, or they have Planner built into Microsoft? Do you have any thoughts on those in particular? Have you ever tried those?
That's a good one.
So I've tried Trello, and I thought it was a great project management software. So if I was working on a specific, let's say, event, or maybe if I was planning a wedding, I think it would be really helpful for that. But Trello is one where I tried to incorporate it, but I found that the usability of Evernote was a little more tailored to what I use it for in terms of just storing data. But I would definitely recommend anybody who works a lot on projects and you've got a lot of moving pieces, Trello is fantastic for doing that, especially with groups if you have to collaborate and people are responsible for different things. I'm pretty sure in Trello you can assign responsibilities, and that would be a great project management tool to have for groups that are all working on the same thing. So,
yeah, definitely.
I know we've used Trello in our marketing, and I've used it with our sales team with a little bit, as far as, and it was more based more I used it as kind of a really cheap CRM, to be honest with you.
Oh.
And, it kind of helped that, like, hey, this person's working on this person or taking care of this client and so forth and so on. And, but then it was, we quickly outgrew that very fast, actually. And I think it was, especially with, some new hires I had. But yeah, I agree with you. It's great for project management. I've used it, especially on some of my photography stuff. And because you mentioned weddings, and so I was like, as a wedding photographer and working with another wedding photographer, it was like going back and forth, like, hey, here's the shot, you got this, worked out well. So
now, one of the apps you mentioned at the beginning, Calendly, I think is what it's called. I've never used that, but I've been the recipient of Calendly invites. And I think for business people, especially entrepreneurs who are doing a lot of smaller one-on-one meetings, that is such a time saver. And again, it's another thing that you can do professionally that sets such a good impression. So basically, my understanding is what it does is you give Calendly access to your calendar. And as long as you are keeping your calendar really up to date, then what it does is if you want to schedule an appointment, like if Susie and I want to get together, I would just send her a link, like here's a link to my calendar, and she can plug herself into that calendar and it'll update my calendar. So instead of us having to go back and forth on text messaging or emails, well, I'm available these 4 days. Well, no, Susie's out of town. I mean, it really cuts out all of that and just gives Susie a sort of protected, sanitized view of my calendar, but she can say, yep, this date works, and she puts it in herself, and I just look at my calendar and know that's there. I know a lot of small business owners and entrepreneurs who could not survive without that.
That's interesting, because actually that was one I was going to do some more research on. I know we're kind of starting to do some stuff here with it, and so that's a really good feedback, and
huge time saver.
Yes, because I know in HubSpot, which is as for business people and business minded folks, is kind of another CRM, but the with HubSpot, I guess Calendly and HubSpot, they will integrate nice and easily. So that's very interesting too, because a lot of my calendar is here on Outlook or here, and trying to integrate it to now another platform, and it's like you don't have time to go back and forth. So yes. So. Yeah. Well, I take it we haven't had anything coming back from our audience today, so I think we'll probably wrap it up from there. So go ahead, Susie, if you want to wrap it up.
All right, take us out. So thank you, everybody, so much for watching. Jessica, thank you so much for joining us. I had a great time. I'm going to go open the App Store and download most of these, so I want to try them out. We have another Behind the Internet coming up next week. If you like this one, we always have new ones. We have a YouTube channel now, just Behind the Internet on YouTube. All of our past episodes are uploaded there, and we do keep them on our Facebook and our videos tab if you want those. If you want to see more of me, I host our leadership series over on Whisper University. I've got one coming up next week. You can see me over there too, and we'll see you next time. Leave any questions you have in the comments. We will get to them and send you some answers.
All right. See you guys next time.
Bye, Susie. Bye, Aaron.
Bye.